Number one, the word they fear. You've heard the word before, Machiavellian. It drips from people's mouths like an accusation, manipulative, ruthless, cold. But here's the truth they don't want you to understand. Every system of power is built by someone who understood exactly what that word really means. And if you're going to survive, no, dominate, in this world, you need to understand it too. Because the world is not ruled by the kind, it is ruled by the calculated. Machiavellian is not about evil, it is about clarity. It is about seeing human nature without the perfume of morality sprayed over it. People are driven by fear, desire, status, insecurity, not ideals, not fairness. If you still believe the world rewards purity, you are still asleep. Power belongs to the awake. Machiavellian thinking begins where illusions end. It asks one simple question: what moves people? Not what should move them. What does? Approval, greed, ego, belonging, threat. Understand these levers and you understand control. And control is the foundation of untouchability. You cannot be manipulated when you see the strings. You cannot be betrayed when you expect self-interest. This is not pessimism. It is realism sharpened into a blade. Stoicism teaches you to master yourself. Machiavellianism teaches you to read others. Combine them and you become dangerous. Not loud, not reckless, but precise. The loud man seeks attention. The powerful man observes. He speaks less. He notices everything. He reacts slower than his emotions demand. Because emotion is a liability in negotiations of power. You must learn to detach from the need to be liked. That need is a leash. The moment you crave approval, someone else holds your chain. The Machiavellian does not chase validation. He studies incentives. He understands that loyalty is conditional, that respect is often fear in a tailored suit, that morality shifts depending on who holds authority. And instead of complaining about this reality, he adapts to it. Cold does not mean cruel, it means disciplined. It means you do not allow your empathy to override strategy. It means you choose long-term positioning over short-term emotion. You are not here to be the hero of someone else's comfort. You are here to build leverage, and leverage begins in the mind. By stripping away comforting lies and accepting the architecture of power as it is, this is where your transformation begins. Number one, the word they fear. You've heard the word before, Machiavellian. It drips from people's mouths like an accusation, manipulative, ruthless, cold. But here's the truth they don't want you to understand. Every system of power is built by someone who understood exactly what that word really means. And if you're going to survive, no, dominate, in this world, you need to understand it too. Because the world is not ruled by the kind. It is ruled by the calculated. Machiavellian is not about evil. It is about clarity. It is about seeing human nature without the perfume of morality sprayed over it. People are driven by fear, desire, status, insecurity, not ideals, not fairness. If you still believe the world rewards purity, you are still asleep. Power belongs to the awake. Machiavellian thinking begins where illusions end. It asks one simple question: what moves people? Not what should move them. What does? Approval, greed, ego, belonging, threat. Understand these levers, and you understand control. And control is the foundation of untouchability. You cannot be manipulated when you see the strings. You cannot be betrayed when you expect self-interest. This is not pessimism. It is realism sharpened into a blade. Stoicism teaches you to master yourself. Machiavellianism teaches you to read others. Combine them, and you become dangerous. Not loud, not reckless, but precise. The loud man seeks attention. The powerful man observes. He speaks less. He notices everything. He reacts slower than his emotions demand. Because emotion is a liability in negotiations of power. You must learn to detach from the need to be liked. That need is a leash. The moment you crave approval, someone else holds your chain. The Machiavellian does not chase validation. He studies incentives. He understands that loyalty is conditional, that respect is often fear in a tailored suit. that morality shifts depending on who holds authority. And instead of complaining about this reality, he adapts to it. Cold does not mean cruel, it means disciplined. It means you do not allow your empathy to override strategy. It means you choose long-term positioning over short-term emotion. You are not here to be the hero of someone else's comfort. You are here to build leverage, and leverage begins in the mind, by stripping away comforting lies and accepting the architecture of power as it is. This is where your transformation begins. Number 2, human nature without illusions. Now that you've stripped the word Machiavellian of its cheap emotional labeling, it's time to confront the deeper truth. Human nature is predictable, painfully predictable. People are not as complex as they pretend to be. They are patterns, and patterns can be read. You want to become untouchable? Then stop reacting to behavior and start decoding it. Every smile hides a motive. Every compliment carries a desire. Every act of loyalty expects a return. This is not cynicism. This is awareness. The average man walks through life assuming sincerity. The powerful man walks through life assessing incentives. Why is this person helping me? What do they gain? What do they fear? What are they protecting? When you ask these questions consistently, you begin to see the invisible chessboard beneath every interaction. And once you see the board, you stop being a pawn. Machiavellian philosophy does not teach you to hate people. It teaches you to stop romanticizing them. Most individuals are driven by status and security. They want to feel significant. They want to feel safe. Threaten either of those and watch how quickly their values shift. Offer either of those and watch how easily they align with you. That is power psychology, not force, not aggression, alignment. The ability to position yourself as the solution to someone's insecurity. Dark psychology is simply the study of influence without moral decoration. It acknowledges that fear often motivates faster than love, that scarcity increases desire, that authority silences doubt. But here's the discipline. You do not abuse these tools emotionally. You use them strategically. A stoic mind does not manipulate impulsively. It calculates outcomes. It asks, what is the long-term effect? What is the leverage gained? Because temporary domination is weakness disguised as strength. Real power is sustainable. It is quiet. It is controlled. You must detach from naive expectations. Not everyone is your ally. Not everyone deserves transparency. Information is currency. The more you reveal, the more vulnerable you become. The Machiavellian mind understands asymmetry, knowing more than you show, revealing less than you know. Speak carefully. Observe relentlessly. When you remove illusion, disappointment disappears. You stop being shocked by betrayal because you expected self-interest. You stop being manipulated because you see the emotional hook before it sinks in. And slowly something shifts inside you. You become steady, harder to provoke, harder to deceive, harder to move. This is the beginning of psychological armor, not bitterness, precision. You are no longer navigating the world through hope. You are navigating it through understanding. And understanding is control. Number 3, control yourself, control the game. Before you ever control the room, you must control the storm inside you. This is where most men fail. They study strategy, they learn tactics, they memorize manipulation techniques, but they are slaves to their impulses. Anger owns them, ego provokes them, desire blinds them, and a man who cannot govern himself will always be governed by someone else. Machiavellian power begins with internal sovereignty. Stoicism is not softness, it is emotional discipline sharpened into steel. When someone insults you and you react instantly, they control you. When someone withholds approval and you chase it, they control you. When someone triggers your fear and you rush to secure comfort, they control you. The untouchable man does not react on cue, he pauses. He assesses, he decides. That pause is power. In that pause, you reclaim authority over your nervous system. Dark psychology teaches that emotional reactions are predictable leverage points. If I know what angers you, I can steer you. If I know what excites you, I can distract you. If I know what you fear, I can corner you. So the first battlefield is internal. What angers you? What do you crave? What threatens your identity? Until you confront these vulnerabilities, you are transparent. And transparency in power dynamics is exposure. Discipline your emotions until they become tools, not masters. Anger becomes controlled intensity. Fear becomes strategic caution. Desire becomes long-term ambition. You do not suppress emotion, you domesticate it. A lion in a cage is useless. A lion trained is unstoppable. The Machiavellian mind does not eliminate feeling. It places feeling under command. This is masculine stoicism, silent strength, composed posture, steady eye contact, slow speech. You do not need volume to assert dominance. You need certainty, and certainty is born from self-control. When you are not desperate, you negotiate better. When you are not afraid of loss, you gain leverage. When you are not attached to outcomes, you make clearer decisions. Detachment is misunderstood. It is not apathy. It is clarity without emotional distortion. If you can walk away from any situation, you cannot be cornered. If you can endure discomfort, you cannot be coerced. The world tests men through temptation and provocation. Most fail instantly. The untouchable man studies the test, then responds deliberately. You must become that man. Calm under insult, cold under pressure, measured under praise. Because the moment you master yourself, the game changes. And suddenly others begin to feel your gravity, even if they cannot explain why. Number 4, the currency of fear and respect. Let's remove another illusion. People say they want to be loved. What they truly respond to is strength. Love is unstable. It shifts with emotion. Respect, real respect, is rooted in perceived power. And power is the ability to affect outcomes. Machiavelli understood something most men refuse to admit. It is safer to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. Not terror, not chaos, but controlled intimidation. The quiet awareness that crossing you has consequences. The modern world hides this truth behind polite language. But observe carefully. Who gets interrupted? The weak. Who gets tested? The agreeable. Who gets protected? The powerful. Fear is not about shouting, it is about certainty. When people know your boundaries are firm and your retaliation is precise, they calculate before they act. That calculation is respect in its rawest form. Dark psychology reveals a simple principle. Humans assess risk constantly. If disrespecting you carries no cost, it will happen. If challenging you has no consequence, it will be repeated. The untouchable man does not overreact. He responds proportionally, but decisively. One clear correction is stronger than 10 emotional arguments. Masculine stoicism means you do not beg for validation. You embody standards. You do not explain your worth endlessly. You demonstrate it once, then withdraw access from those who ignore it. Scarcity builds value. Availability erodes it. If you are always accessible, always forgiving, always accommodating, you are predictable. And predictability without strength invites exploitation. But understand this carefully. Fear without competence collapses. If you project dominance but lack skill, influence, or resilience, you will be exposed. So build substance behind the aura, develop competence in silence, increase your value in the marketplace, sharpen your mind, strengthen your body, expand your network strategically. Power must be backed by capability, otherwise it is theater. The Machiavellian mind plays the long game. It builds a reputation that precedes it, calm, calculating, unmoved. When you enter a room, your energy should communicate one message. I am not to be tested lightly, not because you threaten, but because you do not tolerate disrespect disguised as humor. You do not reward manipulation with attention. You do not negotiate your core principles. People sense this, and when they sense it, they adjust. That adjustment is influence. Influence without shouting, authority without begging. This is how you become untouchable, not by dominating emotionally, but by positioning yourself as a force that is both rational and formidable. Number 5, mastering perception. The invisible throne. Power is not only what you are, it is what people believe you are. And belief shapes behavior faster than reality ever could. This is the layer most men ignore. They focus on strength but neglect perception. Machiavellian strategy understands that image is architecture. It constructs expectations in the minds of others before you ever speak. If people perceive you as decisive, they hesitate before challenging you. If they perceive you as scarce, they value your time. If they perceive you as emotionally stable, they trust your leadership under pressure. Perception is leverage, and leverage is control. Dark psychology teaches that humans respond to signals more than substance. Posture, tone, timing, silence, the pause before you answer, the refusal to over-explain, the steady gaze that does not seek approval. These signals communicate hierarchy. You do not announce dominance, you imply it. The untouchable man curates his presence deliberately. He does not overshare. Mystery amplifies status. When people know everything about you, they stop speculating. When they stop speculating, intrigue dies. And intrigue is psychological gravity. Speak less than necessary. Reveal competence strategically. Let others discover your strengths indirectly. This creates perceived depth, and depth commands respect. But understand the balance. This is not deception for vanity. It is strategic positioning. A king does not narrate his every move. He moves, and the court interprets. Masculine stoicism strengthens this perception. You remain composed when others panic. You remain silent when others argue. You remain focused when others seek drama. That contrast elevates you without effort. Humans are comparison-driven. If you are the calmest man in chaos, you become the anchor. Anchors are valued, and valued men are harder to replace. Yet here is the deeper layer. Never become addicted to your own image. That is ego's trap. Perception is a tool, not identity. The Machiavellian mind adapts when necessary. Sometimes you appear agreeable to gather information. Sometimes you appear indifferent to test loyalty. Sometimes you appear unavailable to increase demand. Flexibility is power. Rigidity is fragility disguised as strength. The invisible throne is built not by loud authority, but by controlled presence. When you master perception, rooms shift subtly when you enter. Conversations recalibrate. Energy reorganizes. And you did not raise your voice once. That is real power. Influence without spectacle. Authority without noise. Control without revealing the mechanics behind it. Number 6, strategic silence and information control. The man who speaks first often loses. The man who speaks most reveals weakness. Information is power, but only when it flows in your direction more than it flows out. Machiavellian strategy is not constant action. It is calculated restraint. Silence is not emptiness. It is interrogation without words. When you allow others to fill the quiet, they expose their priorities, their fears, their ambitions. Most people are uncomfortable with silence. They rush to explain, to justify, to impress. Let them. Every unnecessary word they give you is data, and data sharpens leverage. Dark psychology recognizes that humans crave validation through expression. They want to be heard, understood. Acknowledge them briefly, then let them continue. The more they speak, the more predictable they become. And predictability is exploitable. But you must be disciplined. Oversharing is emotional leakage. It signals a need for connection or approval. The untouchable man shares strategically, not therapeutically. He does not narrate his insecurities to those who have not earned trust. He does not reveal plans before execution. He understands that once information leaves his mouth, it no longer belongs to him. It becomes a variable he cannot control. So he measures his words like currency. Masculine stoicism strengthens this further. You do not rush to defend yourself against rumors. Defense often amplifies accusations. You let consistency dismantle lies over time. You do not chase every misunderstanding. You allow your results to speak in arenas where words are cheap. This restraint creates psychological pressure. People begin to wonder what you are thinking, where you stand, what your next move will be. Uncertainty around you becomes influence. But silence is not passivity. It is observation sharpened to precision. You track micro-expressions, tone shifts, contradictions between words and body language. When someone says they are confident but avoids eye contact, you note it. When someone claims loyalty but hesitates in commitment, you register it. Patterns form, and patterns predict behavior. The goal is not paranoia, it is preparation. When betrayal comes, and it eventually does, you are not shocked. You are ready. You already saw the cracks forming. Strategic silence also protects your emotional state. When you argue impulsively, you lose positioning. When you respond slowly, you dictate rhythm. And the one who dictates rhythm often dictates outcome. In negotiations, in relationships, in conflict, pace is dominance. Slow down, listen longer, speak sharper, reveal less. The quieter you become, the more others project onto you. And projection gives you control of the narrative without ever announcing it. Number 7, detachment, the ultimate leverage. Attachment is vulnerability. The moment you need something, approval, money, validation, a specific outcome, you weaken your negotiating position. Machiavellian power is rooted in one brutal advantage: the ability to walk away. If you cannot walk away, you cannot win. The world senses desperation like blood in water. When you cling, you concede control. When you chase, you signal imbalance. The untouchable man desires, but he is not enslaved by desire. This is where stoicism becomes a weapon. You train yourself to accept loss before it happens. You rehearse the worst-case scenario mentally until it no longer terrifies you. When fear loses its grip, your posture changes. Your tone changes. Your decisions sharpen. Dark psychology teaches that the person who appears least invested often dictates the terms. Why? Because humans instinctively pursue what withdraws. Scarcity creates pursuit. Indifference creates curiosity. This does not mean apathy. It means emotional independence. If someone threatens to leave and you crumble, they gain power. If someone withholds opportunity and you panic, they control the frame. But if you remain composed, evaluating options instead of begging for outcomes, the dynamic shifts. You become the variable they cannot predict. Detachment is not coldness toward life. It is clarity about impermanence. Everything is temporary. Positions shift. Alliances evolve. Even loyalty is tested by incentives. Accept this fully, and you stop building your identity around unstable foundations. Instead, you anchor yourself internally. Skills cannot be taken. Discipline cannot be stolen. Reputation built on consistency cannot be erased overnight. These are stable assets. Build those. Then negotiations become strategic exchanges, not emotional gambles. Masculine stoicism demands that you endure discomfort without broadcasting it. When you lose, you absorb the lesson silently. When you win, you do not celebrate excessively. Emotional extremes expose attachment. Stability confuses opponents. The man who does not overreact cannot be easily steered. And here is the deeper truth. Detachment gives you courage. When you are not afraid of losing someone, you set firmer boundaries. When you are not afraid of losing a deal, you demand better terms. When you are not afraid of standing alone, you reject manipulation disguised as compromise. Power flows toward the one who is prepared to stand independently. Become that man. Want deeply, build relentlessly, but hold everything with a loose grip. Because the loosest grip often holds the strongest control. Number 8, ruthless clarity and decision. Most men delay decisions because they fear being wrong. The Machiavellian mind fears something else: stagnation. Indecision is slow suicide in the arena of power. While you hesitate, someone else positions. While you overanalyze, someone else advances. Ruthless clarity is not recklessness. It is the discipline of choosing based on calculated probability, then adapting without emotional collapse if outcomes shift. You will not always have perfect information. Waiting for certainty is weakness disguised as wisdom. Instead, gather what you can. Assess incentives. Measure risks. Then move. Dark psychology reveals that confidence in action influences perception more than perfection in strategy. People follow decisiveness. They doubt hesitation. Even when a decision is imperfect, strong execution often compensates. But hesitation broadcasts insecurity, and insecurity invites challenge. Masculine stoicism strengthens this edge. Once you decide, you detach from regret. You do not replay scenarios obsessively. You extract the lesson, adjust, and continue. Emotional rumination wastes energy that should be reinvested into momentum. The untouchable man understands that mistakes are tuition fees, not identity statements. He does not crumble under error. He recalibrates. There is another layer here. Moral flexibility without moral chaos. The world is not black and white. Strategy sometimes requires appearing agreeable while planning differently. It sometimes requires withholding full truth when transparency would weaken positioning. This is not about corruption, it is about protecting long-term objectives. Naive honesty in competitive arenas is self-sabotage, but reckless dishonesty destroys reputation capital. So you operate with calibrated disclosure. Enough truth to maintain trust, enough ambiguity to maintain advantage. This balance requires emotional stability. You must resist ego-driven decisions, revenge moves, pride-based reactions, impulsive displays of dominance. Those are traps for insecure men. True power is patient. It calculates second and third order consequences. If I make this move, what shifts next? Who benefits? Who resists? Who aligns? Think beyond the immediate win. Think in chains of reaction. When you adopt this mindset, your presence changes. You become less reactive, more strategic. Your words shorten. Your actions sharpen. People sense that you are not guessing, you are choosing, and that perception alone alters how they approach you. In the end, ruthless clarity builds momentum. Momentum builds influence. Influence builds power, and power, when guided by discipline rather than ego, makes you increasingly difficult to obstruct. Number 9, playing the long game. Short-term victories are for amateurs. The Machiavellian mind plays decades, not days. Most men are distracted by immediate gratification. Quick wins, public validation, emotional revenge. They sacrifice positioning for applause. But applause fades. Leverage compounds. If you want to become untouchable, you must think in layers of time. Every move you make today should strengthen your position tomorrow. Every alliance should be evaluated for durability. Every conflict should be measured against long-term cost. Dark psychology teaches that humans are impatient. They overvalue immediate rewards and undervalue strategic patience. This impatience makes them predictable. If you can delay gratification longer than your competitors, you gain invisible ground. While they celebrate prematurely, you accumulate quietly. While they expose themselves through ego, you observe their weaknesses. Time becomes your ally because you are not rushing it. Masculine stoicism reinforces endurance. You endure slow progress without losing discipline. You build skills when no one applauds. You maintain standards when no one is watching. This consistency compounds into authority, and authority built slowly is harder to dismantle. Here is the truth. Power is rarely seized in one dramatic moment. It is assembled piece by piece. Reputation, competence, network, resources, psychological resilience. Each layer reinforces the next. The impatient man burns bridges for temporary advantage. The strategic man preserves relationships he may need later, even with former rivals. He understands that today's opponent could be tomorrow's asset. Emotional reactions destroy long-term options. Controlled responses preserve them. The long game also requires selective visibility. Not every success needs broadcasting. Not every plan needs exposure. Move in silence until your position is unshakable. Surprise amplifies dominance, and dominance secured quietly is harder to attack. You must learn to absorb insult without immediate retaliation if retaliation weakens future leverage. You must sometimes allow others to underestimate you. Underestimation is camouflage. When people misjudge your depth, they reveal their strategies too early. Then when the moment is right, you act decisively. This is patience sharpened into power. In the long game, emotions are liabilities and endurance is currency. If you can remain focused while others scatter, composed while others panic, disciplined while others indulge, you will outlast them. And the one who outlasts eventually controls the board. Number 10, becoming untouchable. Now understand this. Being untouchable is not about isolation. It is about positioning. It is about becoming so internally disciplined, so strategically aware, so emotionally self-governed that external chaos cannot destabilize you. The Machiavellian mind does not seek destruction. It seeks advantage. It studies power without moral illusion and accepts the world as it is, competitive, incentive-driven, emotionally reactive. And instead of complaining, it adapts. You have learned to see human nature clearly, to control yourself before attempting to influence others, to build respect through strength, not noise, to master perception, to use silence as leverage, to detach from outcomes so you cannot be cornered, to decide with ruthless clarity, to play the long game while others chase temporary wins. Combine all of this and something shifts. You stop moving randomly. You move deliberately. You stop reacting emotionally. You respond strategically. People begin to sense it. They cannot provoke you easily. They cannot manipulate you cheaply. They cannot intimidate you with scarcity or approval. Because you are no longer operating from need. You are operating from choice, and choice is power. Masculine stoicism becomes your foundation. You feel deeply but display selectively. You think long but act precisely. You speak calmly but mean every word. Dark psychology becomes awareness, not corruption. You understand influence, so you are not enslaved by it. You understand fear, so you are not ruled by it. You understand desire, so you are not blinded by it. This is not about becoming cold-hearted. It is about becoming clear-headed. There is a difference. The world respects clarity. It tests weakness. Decide which version of yourself you will present, because from this point forward, ignorance is a decision. You now see the mechanics behind power. The only question is whether you will discipline yourself enough to apply them. Most will listen and return to comfort. A few will internalize and transform. Be among the few. Build silently, move intelligently, control yourself relentlessly, and let your presence speak before your mouth does. If this sharpened your mind and expanded your perspective, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because the next lesson will go even deeper into the architecture of power.